Hey everybody, welcome back to the Jim Feist Pro Football Handicapping Show. My name is Tommy Canale. We are here at DeMarco's Pizzeria and Wine Bar, located 9785 West Charleston Boulevard, here in Las Vegas, Nevada, on a beautiful 70-degree afternoon here in January. For those people that aren't here in Las Vegas, I'm sorry if your temperature is not 70 degrees, but it's beautiful here. And if you're in Las Vegas, make sure you visit DeMarco's. They got the best pizza, the best happy hour, the best wings, the best wine, the best outdoor patio. They got everything. And we also have the best handicapping show around here at DeMarco's. Next to me is the man, the myth, and the legend, Jim Feist. How are we today?
I'm doing good. You're talking about... Well, thank you. We talk about the weather. I mean, the other day it was 30 degrees, 37 miles an hour wind, and wind chill factor 11. Now we've got 70 degrees.
I forgot that day already.
This is crazy.
It is crazy. Next to you, we have a longtime Superbook executive who just won the Review Journal NFL Challenge in dominating fashion, and he's won 4 of the last 7 years. Welcome back, Jay Korenagy.
Oh, thank you.
You are welcome. And next to him, a pro sports handicapper and bettor, has been on the show many times, a friend of the show, Erin Rynning. Welcome back.
Glad to be here, guys.
All right, guys, let's get into it. Last week, we were talking about coaching changes and things, and since some games have passed, a couple of weeks ago, I told Jim that I had read something that Mike Tomlin was not going to be at Pittsburgh, but it wasn't going to be because of Pittsburgh's choice. It was going to be because of Tomlin's choice, which is what has just happened. So, Jim, what's your thoughts on Tomlin resigning at Pittsburgh, and where do you think he might end up?
Well, he could end up in the booth just calling games, just like some of the other guys have. But, talking about Tomlin, I've never been a big fan of the way he coaches. I mean, he's very blasé. He tries not to lose for the season, but he doesn't build a team that really goes far. Matter of fact, they always lose in the first round. But he does more with less as far as talent, where the Harbaugh, he got fired. Well, he always does less with more because he had a ton of talent, great quarterback, running back, everything. And so the two of them are kind of going in different directions. When you look at their resume, he's a guy that overdid it, overperformed, and the other guy that underperformed. And there's a lot of coaches. What's there, 9 vacancies now? It's pretty crazy out there right now.
Jay, let me ask you this. I know there's been talk about who's going to replace Tomlin at Pittsburgh. And they've only had 3-4 coaches since 1969. But let me throw a name out there to you. I know there's a lot of people who have been saying, this guy or that guy. But the name that keeps coming to my mind, if I'm Pittsburgh, if you're looking for a long-term guy that I think would stick around and do a nice job, what's your thoughts of Marcus Freeman, who's at Notre Dame?
Well, that's the name that keeps popping up, it seems like, over the last couple of years because of all the success. And he keeps turning it down. At one of these times, it's going to be too big of a number to turn down. I'm not sure how successful he would be. I mean, I'm not saying he wouldn't be. I just don't know. It's an unknown. I certainly do respect what he's done at Notre Dame. But, until he gets comfortable with that number and comfortable with coaching in the pro level, I just don't see it happening. And that's something that I think we're going to hear for a while until he does make that move.
Erin, who do you think steps in at Pittsburgh?
Oh, it's a good question. I mean, they have generally gone with a young defensive coordinator, someone in his 30s, whether it would be a Shula or, defensive coordinator for Seattle. I heard those guys mentioned around. It's interesting from my standpoint. What we just say? 9 teams are looking for a head coach.
Yeah.
I don't know if I see 9 good candidates out there. So I think some of these guys are going to be hired to get fired real fast. So I think more than anything, that's to me is a story is who are these 9 coaches going to be? I mean, if I was an NFL team, and I don't know how interested he would. I mean, at this point, the head coach for Indiana, Signetti, almost got a blank check to come and turn one of these teams around.
Yeah, one of the things. Jim. 9 coaching vacancies. Right now, whoever steps up with a check as pick of the litter.
Right.
I mean, I'm surprised this day, right now, we're talking, and not one of these has been filled yet. That's what I'm surprised at.
With the
Well,
broad score.
You know, we just had 6 losing teams from the first weekend of wild cards, and some of those teams might be getting rid of their coaches, which we just saw Tomlin lose. So he's now, that position's open. You never know; the other 5 might open up as well. Pittsburgh, when you talk specifically about Pittsburgh, they need an offense. They need a quarterback that can perform. I'm not talking about a 42-year-old guy that's immobile, because then you really need a lot of protection. We saw in that game the other night. He had no protection. I mean, he needed to move around a little bit and make something happen, but he couldn't do it. So, I mean, I'd pick a guy like Mike McCarthy, who's been a staple in this industry, or in the football industry, to really go in there and solidify that position. He's been around a long time. He's had some success, but you still need a quarterback, and you still need an offensive line to make anything successful.
Let me ask you this, Jim, because last week when I read off the vacancies we had last week, you said that you thought the Falcons was the best job opening at that time. So what's your thoughts about them hiring the legend Matt Ryan as their new president of football?
He's a smart guy. He knows the game. I think it's better than what they had.
Okay.
And but we're going to start seeing some of these positions fill up this week, I believe, because, like I said, we had 6 teams that opened up last week when they lost. Now, I don't know if some of these other guys that are still winning are thinking about or possibly get fired as well, because this is a real transition year. You can see you already have 9, and you still got some more teams still playing. It's going to be wild. And there's offensive coordinators out there, defensive coordinators who will probably move up in these positions. Not everybody's going to be successful. Probably only about 20 or 30% of them will be successful, but that's the way the industry is.
Many coordinators, offense and defense side of the ball, have already been fired on a lot of teams going forward.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that very much.
Yeah, a lot of them. So we'll see where they end up. Jay, a week ago, Mike McDaniel is still with the Dolphins. They hire a new GM, and now he's out. So it tells me that GM must have his eye on somebody, because he doesn't want McDaniel.
Well, yeah. Like I said, they need to pull the trigger as soon as they can. They got the pick of the litter right now. No one's been hired. Yes, there might be a couple more openings, taking place here in the next week or so. But if you are eyeballing a certain candidate, why don't you go after him right now? I'm just so surprised, because usually it does happen very quick. And that is right after the regular season ends, openings pop up on Monday, and you usually have that first choice. The one guy that stands out is signed and delivered within a week, and we just haven't seen that yet. So I'm really surprised at that. As far as the Dolphins are concerned, who knows what he has his eye on? There could be a number of guys, and certainly I think the Indiana coach is someone that a couple of people are going to go after, at least try to talk to him after the championship game, which isn't until the 19th. But do you risk it? Do you save all your bullets until the 19th or 20th, and when all the second best, third best, fourth best candidate is gone by that time? You're taking a little bit of a gamble there.
Erin, you had said, you don't know if there's 9 good candidates out there for these head jobs, but now there's a bunch of offensive, defensive coordinator positions opening. So where are all these going to get filled from?
That's what I'm kind of questioning about that, because I don't see 9 strong candidates. Seems like last year's class was better with the Bears coach and Jacksonville coach. So I don't see it. You're right, the coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury for Washington, where he's going to end up. And like a guy like Mike McDaniel from Miami, I mean, he would, easily be able to get an offensive coordinator job somewhere. So we'll see where it all falls. But once we get a domino or 2, I would expect it to go pretty fast.
The top guy is supposedly Harbaugh.
Right. That's what I heard
Now,
from Miami too.
when you look at what he did and I'm not picking on Harbaugh, but let's point out the facts. He led the league in fourth quarter double-digit losses when he had a double-digit lead. Okay, he had pretty good quarterback, good running back, a lot of good talent on that team, but he underperformed. Couldn't move very far in the playoffs. He was there 18 or 19 years. What makes him such a great candidate when you look at that resume?
Well, let me ask you this: would you take Kevin Stefanski over him?
Yes,
Okay.
because Stefanski had to work with less, and he did the best he could with it. And Harbaugh worked with a lot of talent, and the owner came with a lot. He didn't. The owner in Baltimore didn't go out and pay $230 million to a guy that should have been gone to jail, and guarantee the whole damn thing. I mean, that's moronic that he did that. Moronic, I guess is the right word. But no, Stefanski, I think, is probably a little hungrier than Harbaugh. Harbaugh messed up in Baltimore. There's a couple games where he kept that super running back on the
Harvey.
on the bench. It was 12 minutes at the end of the game. It was in the game, and he's sitting there. And they asked him about it. He said, "Well, I guess I could have put him in."
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell were you thinking about?
Well, he kind of forgot about his start.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, Tommy. These guys need quarterbacks, though. I mean, you need a quarterback.
They had one of
That's a great point,
Well,
Jay.
but he was hurt. He had an off year, even when he was out there, and I'm not sure if that's going to be corrected. Moving forward, I think one of the ideal spots to land would be New York Giants. That is, Dart has the potential to be a good, solid quarterback. And anybody, I'm not sure about the other ones. I wouldn't want to go to a place. I mean, Pittsburgh doesn't have a quarterback, so what do? You got to stock up on defense, right? That's probably a strategy. If you cannot find a franchise quarterback to lead your team, you better load up on defense, to give yourself a chance. But out of these 9 vacancies, I think the Giants actually have an appealing spot for one of these candidates because of Dart.
Let's get into the game starting on Saturday, which the first game I'm going to talk to, which I think could be one of the best games of the weekend, and that's Buffalo at Denver. Bills are favored by 1.5. The total's at 46. Jim, do you have a feeling on this one?
Well, it's really a pick 'em game. I've seen lines on each side of it. I've seen pick. I've seen 1.5 on each side of it. Boy, I mean, home field at elevation in Denver is tough with the week off. I don't think that the week off is going to hurt Denver. They've got a good coach. Baltimore and Buffalo had a real struggle last week with Jacksonville. It was a good game. It could have gone either way. I'm kind of neutral in the game. I really haven't played it. Haven't found a side in the game I like.
Jay, for you on this game, how much is Nick's going to play a factor?
Oh, big time. I mean, he's right in the middle of it. I think the key.
Can he step up to it?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think that he's lucky he has a very solid coach that keeps him in his world, his circle of things that he can do, things that he can't do. I mean, I'll self-admit this here, I'm a Bronco fan. I'm from Denver. But I think it's going to come down to Allen versus, I think Allen and his tight ends versus the Bronco linebackers. I think that's where it's going to come down to. I think the Bills are a little banged up, especially in the wide receiver corps, and the Broncos are just unknown. I don't know what Bo Nix is going to do. I agree with Jim. I'm looking at all these games, and it's not one side. Maybe ER over here can give us a little hint of what he's looking at, but I haven't seen one side that really catches my eye so far.
All right, ER, it's you.
Yeah, for sure. I'll bet Denver here. I'll take your Broncos, Jay. It's a lot of it is Broncos obviously get a week off. They get this very strong home field here. I think amazing as Josh Allen was playing and played last week to kind of single-handedly win that. I mean, he got hurt like 3 different times. He already had a bad leg, and again, so you're on the road. Now you got to travel again against a better defense this week than he faced last week. Although I don't know, maybe you can tell us on that Broncos defense didn't look good against Jacksonville. They've had some games you're just like, wow, this defense shouldn't be that bad, but should be okay. Here's the thing that I look for in this matchup: Sean Payton can be very reluctant to run the ball. We saw that last week with Jacksonville. They started off the game running the ball. I mean, that's been how you beat Buffalo all season. They have a hard time stopping the run. So to me, it'll be interesting if they come out with a pretty heavy run plan. But still, I thought there was just a little bit of value. The situation, the potential for Josh Allen to be a little bit banged up. So I'll have to bet on Denver.
That's good news for me.
Well, sometimes it's hard to pick a side, but then, what do you think about the totals in that game? I mean, I don't think the weather's going to be
46.
too bad. It's hard to hold Josh Allen down unless he gets hurt again. He is difficult to stop. I mean, on an individual basis, but their wide receivers are banged up.
Yeah, I think I had a play on just about every total last week. Not as many this week. I didn't get there because to me Denver was probably a little bit more an under team. Buffalo a little more of an over team. The number kind of meets right in the middle. So, and I think Buffalo, even last week it was kind of a slow played game. I mean they do prefer to run the ball with Cook as much as possible to kind of take the weight off Allen's shoulders. And when Allen's had a pass, the game against the Atlanta game on Monday night a couple of months ago, it hasn't been great news for them.
Jim, let's get into the next game, which is the highest spread of the weekend, and that's San Francisco versus Seattle for the third time this year. Seattle's favored by 7.5. The total's at 45. Just played a few weeks ago. It really wasn't much of a game. Personally, I don't think the outcome's going to be any different. I think Seattle wins the game. But what's your thoughts on the number?
The number is very high. It's very, very high. I mean, getting 7.5, 8 points with San Francisco, but they just lost Kittle, and they have a dozen other key injuries on that team. And McCaffrey carries the ball. He just does everything. I don't know how far this magic run that they have. I mean, the head coach has done a tremendous job with all these injuries. I don't know how he's going to win all these games. This is another road game, a tough game. I like Seattle, but I don't like the number. I sure don't like laying that number.
What about you, Jay?
I'm with Jim. I don't like to lay that big number. San Francisco keeps surprising me. I mean, they've been full of injuries almost 2/3 of the year, and they seem to overcome those injuries. I know Kittle just went down, but they just seem like they keep having guys, that are backups stepping up and performing. The effort they gave last week against Philadelphia was just tremendous. I really thought they were going to got beat up against Seattle the week before. That was a really physical game against Seattle, the last game of the season, and then going and traveling to Philly and having to deal with the Eagles and that defense. But I was just really surprised by the effort that the 49ers gave. Now you can turn around and say, well, the Eagles looked like they laid down, looked like the Eagles were ready to check out. Like they just didn't have that energy that you would want to see. And therefore, there was some of that. So it's a little bit of both. The effort by the 49ers and the Eagles, not inspired to win that game is probably why we're looking at this game right here, the 49ers and the Seahawks. When it's like over a touchdown in the playoffs, especially divisional rivals, despite all the injuries, I would probably lean towards, the Niners.
ER, with all these injuries, can you see this going to 8?
No.
It kind of came back today.
Yeah.
It's one of those games. If you bet Seattle, you got to lay 7 something. And if you take the dog, you got to get 7.5. I mean, that should be what anybody's thinking in this game, just to start matters with. With that said, I laid 7 with Seattle. It's just if you watch that game 2 weeks ago, the spread got bet up to 3 at San Francisco. They were taking late money all through the week, and they manhandled them. I mean, they just controlled the game on both sides of the football. And then now they got to go. San Francisco had to go on the road last week, lose George Kittle. They'll have Williams back with that. But again, just from an energy standpoint, Seattle's had an extra week to get off to rest here. So again, if you're just looking at energy and who can control the game, Seattle should be able to do that here. The loss of Kittle I think is massive for the 49ers. I will say this. Still, San Francisco defense, to me, leaves a lot to be desired. They are one of the worst teams, if not the worst, getting pressure on the quarterback. And for someone like Sam Darnold, that's generally the matchup you want to see because he can play without any pressure. He gets pressure on him. It's kind of a different game. He has some issues. So I think that helps the matchup as well.
When you talk about where they were last week and they played Philadelphia, who basically played with their food all year long, they weren't consistent. Yeah, they had a good record and they won their division, but their division was terrible. You know, and now they're going to a team that they played a couple times and has manhandled them a few weeks ago. Seattle has not, you know, they haven't underperformed very much all year. Philadelphia did. So here you have a team who's at the top of the game pretty much the whole year. It's going to be very tough for San Francisco to beat them. But again, the number is high. Now, you might want to check in and look at, you know, you could play a teaser on this side with
Seattle down.
Seattle down. And that's probably what I would look at. I don't know how much Purdy can do without Kittle. They've lost too many weapons. And as Erin said, the defense is also banged up. It's a very difficult spot for a team that's this hurt against a team that's that together and that healthy in their own park. So this is a very difficult spot for San Francisco. I don't think they can step up, but I can't lay the number. But I could play them in a teaser with somebody else that I like.
Let's get into Sunday with Houston at New England. And Houston's defense was absolutely stifling against Pittsburgh on Monday. And I believe they just took away Pittsburgh's undefeated Monday night win total there. Now they're going into New England. The line's 3, totals 41. But, Jim, can this defense show up again like they did on Monday night?
Well, they've been showing up all year. I mean, they're just good. I didn't think they would crush Pittsburgh like they did, but they made Pittsburgh. If Tomlin had any question about leaving the game, that game settled it for him. I mean, that was pretty much an embarrassment for not only him but the city of Pittsburgh and all the players. That was totally an embarrassment. And no, Houston's good. I don't know what the heck happened with Stroud in that game. Why all the turnovers and the missed handoffs and this? I mean, I was baffled with that. So that's kind of, yeah, but he can't. You're not going to win very many games unless your defense can just. The defense outscored their own offense in that game. It was he has to grow up and play like a professional if he's going to get in here and win this game because May has played well. They got a good coach there. That's a good team, and I like the dog. And when I'm talking about the teaser situation, I'm not going to take the points here, but when I talk about taking a teaser on Seattle, I would take the other side of that with Houston. So I'd pump that up to 9.5 or 10, and knock the Seattle game down to 1.
Jay, with the weather should not be a factor. I looked it up. It's going to be like in the 40s at kickoff time for this game. What is your thoughts now on Houston playing Monday and turn around and back playing Sunday?
Well, it's certainly a disadvantage for them, to go up there and do the travel and go up to New England. It's a very interesting game. This line opened 2.5, which I thought was a little light. And sure enough, within a day or maybe less than a day, it went to 3. I don't know. Did you get 2.5?
No, I didn't. I would take the dog at 3.5.
We know what he's looking for.
I was thinking that was Erin's move right there, minus 2.5. I would take 3.5 and go with Jim's teaser as well. Get up there plus 10 plus 10.5, whatever it might be. Down to the Seahawks minus 1 or minus a half, whatever. It's that seems very appealing to me, especially the way that defense can keep them in games. I'm not sure a lot of people don't know this, but I believe Houston has won like 10 straight games. I think you're right. Going under the radar.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible. But you look at the New England side, and nothing really stands out. May's really been impressive, but if I remember correctly, they've had the easiest schedule since like 1980. Okay, they've won some close games, some close competitive playoff teams that they played. It was very close, results for them. But I don't think anything really stands outside besides May's play. Everything that is not bad. It's something that they just kind of are above average in almost every category. However, that defense for Houston does stand out, and that's probably why I'm with Erin. If it's plus 3.5, I'll take 3.5.
Well, ER, we know you're looking for 3.5. What do you think this game comes down to?
There's a few different things. I have to say this, guys, Jay and Jim, watching these games last week, can't say that I saw any complete Super Bowl ready to win team. Maybe New England, to be honest, because they had the most dominating game as far as, I think that was the surprising thing about New England. And we knew the Chargers were very beat up with that offensive line, and Herbert was beat up. But that was one of the better games of defense played all season long because, by a lot of metrics, the defense isn't that good. They don't pressure the quarterback a lot. So that's kind of what I'm watching for. If New England can step up on defense, they're definitely a Super Bowl contender at this point. But you're right. May just continues to prove just about everybody wrong. I mean, just an amazing season for him. Hard to go against that, but yeah, going up against a much, much tougher defense than he's faced. So great matchup with that. I'm going to bet, I think I'll have a small bet on Houston at 3.5. Also going to have a small bet over the total here, 40.5, 41. Again, just going back to last week, again, Houston beat up on Aaron Rodgers. New England beat up on Herbert and a bad offensive line there. So I think the total got hit down just a little bit much. The Patriots have been a good over team all year. They've scored points. That's not been the problem. Houston moved the ball really well, mistakes, but still had over 400 yards of offense last week. So I thought 41. For me, when you consider that Pittsburgh-Houston was 38, and to me, New England's a lot different team than Pittsburgh. So small bet over the total.
Jim, going into our last matchup of the weekend for the NFL, which is the Rams at the Bears. Stafford says he's not worried at all about his injured finger. The weather should be a factor. The high is supposed to be 21 degrees on Sunday when they play for the game. The Rams are favored by 3.5. The total was 50.5, now down to 48.5. So there's some play on that under. And I said to you before we came on the air today that at this point in time, I'm not counting the Bears out of anything anymore because they continue to find ways to win. And the one thing I will say about what the Bears have done and to find ways to win, yeah, they get you to turn it over, but they're making you play for 60 minutes for every single second of this game. And as soon as you don't, they find a way to capitalize.
Yeah, they don't start playing until they're down by 21. That's just, I think that's a rule. But I have a friend here that's sitting in this audience right now that's going to be at that game. And I think he said he was going to get off all his ski clothes. He's got this wonderful hat he showed me he's going to wear. And he's sitting right over there. But are you still going?
That's the plan.
Okay.
Still going.
All right.
Put warmers in your shoes and your socks.
You got an older quarterback, with Stafford. Cold weather affects you more as you get older, and he's got some injuries here and there. This is a really tough game. I got to take the home dog, and the movement on the line, the total, I think is right. I think 51 down to 48 at the market is telling you what's going on and what's happening, and this could be really ugly there. Chicago gets some bad weather and they get a lot of bad wind, and that can affect the whole thing. And Chicago plays hard, and nobody has actually beat them up and said, hey, you can't play in this league. They know they can win, and they like their coach is good.
Should he be coach of the year?
Well, you could be talking about Vrabel. You can talk about him. There's so many guys that did some good things. Liam Cohen. There's a lot of very interesting choices for coach of the year, and I don't know what it'll come down to. Maybe I have no idea, but I would be on the Bears and the under.
Jay, you agree?
I'm a little bitter. I had
At least you admit it.
You're a Packer fan?
no, I'm not a Packer fan, but I had my money on the Packers last week, and it's yeah, that was a tough one. Thinking that you kind of had it sewed up again, but the Bears continue to do what they do, and exactly what Jim said. They play for 60 minutes, but if you watch the Bears play, the body language of their players is tremendous. I mean, both sides of the ball.
They believe they're good.
They really do, and they're making it happen. I mean, going into the playoffs, I really thought the Rams were one of the teams that could make it to the NFC Championship team or game and possibly the Super Bowl. I really have liked this team for a long period of time, and then they somewhat, had struggles against Carolina, and here we are looking at -3.5 or 4. I think there's some 4s out there, and it's one of those games where I would love to have 4.5, Erin. Or lay 3. So it's 3.5, 4. If it goes up higher than that, I would certainly take the dog there.
What about you, Ian?
No, I actually don't have a bet on the side. The Rams do power rate a little bit more for me than 3.5, 4. And I think some of that's with the schedule. They played such a tougher schedule than what the Bears had to play. But with that said, I don't really want to bet against the Bears coach or this team right now. Again, they just create another level of confidence last week with the buy-in for this coach, and he's so good on offense. They are really never out of the game because Caleb Williams looked very good for the half, and then all of a sudden he starts making plays and kind of rolling down the hill with that. So for sure, you got to keep an eye on the weather. The total bet down here. I mean, for me, I'll look to play over as the week goes on. I'm in no hurry to do that right now. You have to. It does make these NFL games a little bit tricky. I mean, Jay, you had to book them for a long time with the weather games. You don't know what you're really going to get until game day or maybe a day of the game. I think last week that San Francisco game Philly wasn't supposed to be so bad. Turned out being really windy, where the Bears game turned out being okay. So I'll wait, but yeah, very cold, 15 degrees. I don't think the wind is supposed to be as bad, but it's still only Wednesday. So I would guess I'll have some sort of bet over the total.
Over, okay.
Over.
So, I mean, booking these games, we would just wait for you to bet it, and then we'd move it really aggressive. It's like, yes, one of the guys that we respect very much so over the years is ER sitting right next to me. So
It sounds like you two guys know each other.
we do. Yeah, we do. I certainly have a lot of respect for this guy, and the guy that comes in and he makes a bet. We move it very aggressively.
Well, Jay, let me stay with you then from being the book side, getting into the college football championship with Miami versus Indiana in Miami, and that total being the Hoosiers favored by 8.5 and the total 47.5. Do you think this is too big of a number for the book side?
I guess not, because looking at the ticket count right now, it really does favor the Hoosiers. It's still relatively early. I know the public really hasn't bet it yet, not until the last 24 hours or 48 hours before game day. And but just looking at the early returns, the public's going to side with the favorite and the Hoosiers. So I don't know if it's too high for us. It's a big number for a championship game, a big number for a championship that's being held on their home ice, as we say. But I don't know if it's too big, because I just think the majority of the people are going to stick with Indiana here.
Jim, what's your thoughts on this? It's a big number.
The price is too high, but it's hard to bet against Cignetti and what he's done. And this team he steamrolls people. But Miami's played very well, and they are at home. I believe the quarterback for Indiana is from Miami.
Yes.
Okay. What's the total?
Total is 47.5.
I'm going to say it's going to go over. I like to go over. The weather should be good. I know defenses can step up and stuff, but there's going to be some breakdowns on defense. I think it's going to go over. As far as the spread is concerned, I can't lay this number. It's just too big. It all leads to that Indiana beating them by a couple touchdowns, but that's just too big a number. I'm not going to chase a number, which should probably be under 7, and it's now too high.
Jim, would you tease the Seahawks to Indiana?
I think I like my teaser. Well, you know what? That's not a bad. Teaser. Actually, that's a good teaser.
You like that one?
Yeah,
You're going through a lot of key numbers there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
But I gotta get down. I gotta get down under. What would that give me? 8.5 to 2, or 8.5
Whatever you want.
8.5 to 2.5.
Yeah.
2. Sure.
What will you give me?
Whatever you want.
Give whatever
Whatever you want. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I just say, you're Jim Feist. I'm going to give you what you want.
What's your thoughts on the game? My thing is, you're giving Cignetti 10 days to prepare for you, and the guy is, works around the clock. I just don't like Miami's chances here, even though they're at home, when you give this guy that much time to prepare.
I don't do much with college football anymore. This is the first year where I kind of went in a different direction. But, I mean, I've enjoyed the story. I mean, Cignetti's just been unbelievable. His team, every aspect about it. I mean, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it, but I'm sure it is, as far as how many points is the coaching mismatch worth in this game, because Miami's coach is not known to be that great on game day. So, but that's figured in there now when you're talking about Indiana being, 8.5 point favorite. But, yeah, for me, just, the fact that looked like it was 6.5, 7. Indiana kept scoring. Now it's up to 8.5. Hard to bet against it, like Jim says. Hard to bet against Indiana, but I'd definitely not lay an 8.5.
Any questions from the audience on the NFL or the college football game? Ray.
I have a couple questions. One for Korenagy and then one general question. Here we go. Cignetti, right? How many times have we seen a college coach go pro? I don't think I've ever seen it work. Don't you think it's kind of risky to give a guy who's never coached in the NFL a blank check with a team with no quarterback in the city of Las Vegas, rather go with somebody with half the money proven and let him pick the quarterback like Harbaugh? I think it's kind of a big gamble.
Worked with Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, well, he never coached in the NFL. Do you think
Jimmy Johnson never coached?
No, Cignetti.
Oh, Cignetti, no, but Jimmy Johnson was college coach too.
Yeah.
And he did well.
Okay, then it might for him.
But, well, first of all, I wouldn't come to the Raiders. The Raiders are a 4-year rebuild. They're going to have to, if I was the Raiders, I'd trade their number 1 draft choice and get a boatload of players and draft picks from somebody else, because he's going to come here and get absolutely killed. They have no offensive line. They got nothing. And this is not the right place for a college kid. He's not going to change the franchise, believe me. He needs a lot of help. The team needs a lot of help. They need to trade him. And somebody's got to step up. Like, for example, Miami needs a quarterback because their quarterback's never going to win. I know they're paying a lot of money there. The Indianapolis needs a quarterback because their guy's out for another year with the hilt. So there's teams out there that could give you a bunch of players and draft picks and bring that kid in, because the kid looks amazing. He looks really good. But he's not going to do any good here in Vegas. Now, I'm not knocking Vegas, but Vegas needs a lot more than a quarterback.
What's your other question, Ray?
With Chicago having 2 running backs averaging about 5 yards a carry, and Caleb Williams showing what he can do finally, I think he kind of turned a lot of people's sentiment. Do you think that it would be more of a shocker if Chicago beat one on Saturday, Sunday, or actually San Francisco pulling the upset? I know what the spread is. But what would be a bigger shocker to you professional guys?
Well, I mean, obviously, you just go by the line. I mean,
You would go by the line.
and I think it's much harder spot for San Francisco. They're a lot more beat up. Meanwhile, the Bears, I mean, hard to discount that team at this point.
Okay, I'm just asking because it was a divisional thing versus that's all.
Hey, ER, you said you backed away from college football. I know I did as well, but I did it because of the nil and portal,
Right.
because it just made handicapping these games difficult with these kids moving all over the place, and they start out the season with 72 new players on the squad. It's hard to get a handle on. Is that one of the reasons you did that?
Yeah, for sure. Just so you could see the changing environment, and it was just kind of hard for one. I'm just one person, and it's a lot easier for one person, myself, to do NBA and NFL at a high level and just try to do college football. I don't know how I did it. I didn't do that much with it this year, and I look back, I'm like, I don't know how I did all three of those things. So I'm happy with the move.
Jim, I told you last week that I would give you some teams of college basketball now that we're early in the season to kind of get your eye on and take a look at, because it's what I follow a lot. We have 4 undefeated teams left after Iowa State got just manhandled last night at Kansas. So they're now 16-1, but Arizona's undefeated, Vanderbilt is undefeated, and Nebraska is 17-0 and just absolutely handled Oregon last night. So they're legitimate. And then you have UConn that's 17-1. Michigan's 14-1 and lost at home against Wisconsin, which was the shock of the weekend. Then you got Purdue, Duke, and BYU all at 15-1. Houston 16-1, and Gonzaga's at 17-1. So those are the teams you need to get your eyes on.
Well, I think we should stop the season and just go right to the tournament with those teams, because probably there's not other teams that can compete with them.
Michigan State is another one you got to keep your eye on. They may do something, and it just depends on how things line up. But there's some great stories. Vanderbilt being undefeated, nobody saw that coming. Nobody saw Nebraska being 17-0. And the one thing I'll give Nebraska, I've watched them a couple times, is they absolutely play their tails off every single second that they're on the floor. And they're just wearing teams down because teams can't handle as hard as they're playing.
Pretty amazing. Anything?
No, I'll let you guys do that one. It's I only follow a couple of those.
Anything?
No.
Okay, well, it's your show, my show.
So there's the teams. Do we have any final questions? Next week, we'll be back with Kenny and Alex White, so they'll be here. We got a question over here. Go ahead.
A question. You said Seattle and Indiana, 2-team teaser. Would you rather have a 2-team money line bet or a 2-team teaser bet?
You're talking about which teams?
Seattle, Indiana, the one that Jay brought up. Would you have a 2-team teaser or 2-team money line on that, Jay?
Well, the conservative way would be going to the money line, but as far as where the numbers are right now, 7.5 on the Seahawks, and you got 8.5 on Indiana, you can tease it through those key numbers. Now you still have that door open because of that. If Indiana falls 1 or 2, you get beat. The safe route would be the money line parlay between the two, but if you don't want to risk that much, you can go with the just a 6.5, 6-point teaser and get through those key football numbers. It's a matter of, I don't know if ER has a, and do you do teasers, ER?
No, that's one thing I never really did.
Okay, so it certainly is appealing because you're going through so many key numbers on both sides, and with those teasers. But if you just want to wipe it clean and just go for the money line, it's not going to pay as much, obviously, but it takes that back door out.
Do you do any money line parlays or anything like that?
I really don't do a lot of that stuff. No, I just try to pick a few winners. 55 out of 100.
I think you do pretty well.
We want to thank Jake over there from J-Lore for donating the wine. We'll be giving away 3 bottles of wine as soon as we finish the air. How about a round of applause for the man here, Jim Feist, Jay Korenagy, and Erin Rynning, everybody. My name is Tommy Canale. Good luck on your bets. We'll see you here next week at noon at DeMarco's Pizzeria and Wine Bar.